From Touba to the world, welcome on Al Muridia TV for this presentation. On this very special occasion, as we said it a while ago, every single afternoon, the Murid community, under the guidance of the General Khalif Sheikh Muhammadul Muntaha Bashir, gathers here at the residence Sheikh Ahmadul Khadim to give life to this holy month of Ramadan. And today is a special occasion because we are talking about the legendary Battle of Badr. Badr is a battle an event that coincides with the 17th day of Ramadan. It is described by the Sheikh Ahmad Bamba in many of his writings, most directly in the poems Jasbul Khulub and Mimia. The Sheikh dwells only on what is worth mentioning. Example, the preliminary forces involved in the battle, the arrival of the angels and the resounding victory of the Muslim, and finally, the lessons to be learned from the battle. In the poem Jazbul Khulub, the Sheikh deals with the event from the verse 112 to the verse 134, and in Mimia from the verse 119 to the verse 157. In terms of context, the battle took place during the Hijrah, when the Muslims were living in Medina. It was by order of Lord. The event was triggered by the deep frustration felt by Muslims who had been pushed out of Mecca by the Qurayshid. One day, these exiles in Medina decided as a reprisal to set up an ambush on the caravan belonging to the Meccans coming from Syria. However, Allah, in his deepest secret, set up the event as a confrontation between truth and falsehood. The point was to teach believers that those who resolutely commit themselves to Allah, no matter how dire the situation, will always end up victorious. At the preliminaries, the Sheikh shows us just how great a strategist the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was. He summoned the immigrants and auxiliaries, Muhajirun and Ansar, to study the best strategy for the battle. In verse 159 of Mimia, the Sheikh writes, after consulting each other, the auxiliaries and immigrants came with their opinion. The Prophet, peace be upon him, nevertheless had the secret of the victory, but kept it a secret, which the poet mentioned in the verse 120 of Jasbul Khulub. They stormed those whose death the most eminent intercessor had foretold. The lesson to be drawn here is that even an uncontested leader consulting with his troop when the time comes to fight is only beneficial. In terms of forces involved, we had 313 Muslims stood up, 1,000 unbelievers. The Sheikh focuses on the indisputed star the Prophet Muhammad was during that battle. In verse 120 of Mimia, he writes, the Prophet appeared like a full moon on the day of Badr. He presented him in a very poetic way. We sense the sonority and assonance combined with alliteration. Fi yawmi badri bada badran. In the next verse, the poet states that the four caliphs of the Islamic community Ummah were present in a hierarchical order. Abu Bakr, Omar, Usman, Aliun. However, the Sheikh makes an important clarification in the next verse, stating that Usman was present from the heart. Then comes the confrontation, and the Muslims don't mince their words. There are many epic passages in Mimia and Jasbul Khulub where the Sheikh evokes the determination of the combatants. In verse 142 of Mimir, he says, they moved towards Badr with determination and lit the fire for large-scale battle. And he adds, in Jazbu, so that the dust did not fail to rise between cowards and braves. The line that best describes this confrontation is, they went before death without calculation. On that historical day, Allah's help came from heaven. As Sheikh Ahmad Bamba points out in Jazbul Khulub, they came from heaven, horses and great armies. And in Mimiyah he said, Alfun wa alfun wa alfun, meaning 1,000, then 1,000, then 1,000. In this way, 3,000 angels stormed the non-believers, resulted in a resounding victory. The lesson learned from Badr can be found in verse 153 of Jazbul Khulub. It is since that day that we can do without war, without conquest, without being despised, until paradise. So Mansour, there is a very important passage. But anyway, so we're running behind time, and then that was the presentation of today. Thank you so very much, and see you next time.